Hey guys, welcome to the backswing section. Let's start off with knowing how to turn properly in the backswing. Turning properly in the backswing is very important because if you don't turn properly in the backswing, you're probably not going to turn properly in the downswing. So let's talk about that. How we turn properly, the easiest way to think about this is if you're to stand straight, I'm going to put the club here across my shoulders so that I can turn my body and not move my arms to turn my body, which is a very common thing people do. If I cross my arms across my chest, I stand straight and I look at the camera and I ask you to just turn while looking at the camera, it's very easy to do that, right? We stand straight, we turn, our shoulders are maintaining the same level as you can see from the downline view, okay? I'm looking at the downline camera as I do this just to show you that my shoulders are, just to highlight the shoulder level, but when you do this on your own, I want you to look straight. I never want you to look back as you do your backswing turn in practice or when you actually hit balls. You gotta look straight or looking at the ball as you do this. So you can see when we turn, things stay level. We want to turn level, and it's very easy to see that when we stand straight. Now, when we bend over into the setup, I want you to maintain that turn level feel into the actual turn. Now, you may be thinking, oh, shouldn't I have my left shoulder down, my lead shoulder down? We want to keep the lead shoulder down in the backswing, don't we? Well, the thing is, because you're already bent over at setup, we're on an incline already, we're just turning level to the inclination, which should already automatically make that lead side lower than the trail side. I'm totally in agreement with you where the lead shoulder should be lower than the trail shoulder, but you don't have to help yourself do that. As long as you turn level to your inclination, which you have it set up, the lead shoulder will already be inclined enough and pointing down enough at the top of the backswing. You do not have to help yourself add tilt to it. When I see people do this, it's the equivalent to you doing this when you stand straight. You see that, all the extra movement? So when you tilt, it may feel like you're turning, but you're not actually turning. If anything, you're reducing the amount of turn because one, it puts unnecessary stress on your back, and two, because you're moving, you feel like you're turning, so you stop moving earlier. But in reality, you haven't turned. You're literally just moving in the wrong direction, the wrong movement. We want a free turn. So you can see I stand straight, I turn level very freely. And when we bend over in the setup, we just mimic that turn, just like that. That's how we turn properly. You can see when we do this, trail hip turns back, trail leg straightens and loses flex. It's not going to lock out, but it does have to lose flex for the trail hip to turn back. Now you have to understand, I'm not pushing my hip back by straightening that trail leg. That's not what we want to do. That's a common mistake amateur golfers make. We want to turn the trail hip back and the trail leg straightens and loses flex to accommodate that movement, but it's not going to lock out. Whatever flex the trail leg loses, your lead leg will gain to maintain that inclination. Do not bend your lead leg more than the trail leg is losing because then it's going to bring you into your toes. So if all I do is turn level to my inclination, turning into the inside trail heel, which is what we want to do, you can see when we start turning with the club in hand, my trail hip turns back, my trail leg loses flex, it's not locked out, and so that my upper body can turn. When we turn from this face-on view, we want to be able to see the back of your back, the back of your trail shoulder blade. We do not want you to do this where you don't see the back of the back, you're not turning enough. Also, when you turn, if we're to draw a line in between your hips, I want you to turn pretty much centered in between those lines. If there's a line beside your trail hip here, I want you to pretty much turn into that line, or maybe you can have a little bit of space, but I definitely don't want you to do this, where your lower body pushes towards the target as you turn. That's not turning properly either. We want to load the inside trail foot, inside trail heel. So if you're 50-50 at setup at P1, I want you to turn into the inside trail foot, inside trail heel. You can see my lower body centered, upper body pretty centered, maybe somewhat away from the target, which is totally fine because eventually we're going to move through the ball. I do not want you to ever do this, okay? In an effort to keep your head steady, people always tend to lean towards the target. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about keeping your head steady. I want free movement. Unless you're doing something like this, then you may have to reduce that. But more likely than not, that's not what you're going to do. That's a very, in all my lessons I've done, more people actually lean towards the target too much than lean too much away from the target. So to turn properly, you can bring it into a progression. Stand straight, look at the camera. Turn as much as you can freely, slowly, so you can feel the movement. Then bend over into your setup. Mimic the same turn, turn level. Trail hip turns back, trail leg straightens and loses flex without locking out. And then when you have club in hand, Then you can do the same thing. Turn the trail head back, trail leg straightens and loses flex. And you can see I do this all very, very slowly so I can really get a better sense of how the body is moving, how the movement's feeling. We want to be able to know what body parts we're engaging so we can continue bringing those changes into play as we speed things up. So that's how to turn properly. Refer to this video in the future. This is a very important video. If you don't turn properly in the backswing, you're probably not going to turn properly in the downswing and you'll run into a lot of issues down the road. So watch this rigorously, make video yourself, check yourself, and we'll see you at the next video. Thanks, guys.